So, I've got my dehumidifier cooking upstairs, and I'm not really going to talk more about that or mention that right now because it's an incomplete project. But you know what I am going to do? I'm going to make myself a notebook and film myself making it because I have to be busy at all times. Yeah, I just didn't have a project for the half hour that is standing in front of me, and now I have to do stuff. So I'm going to do stuff. I bought some sheet metal. This is aluminum and this is steel, and that's because the aluminum is more expensive. That was $10, that was $4, and so I'm going to be using this to try out some ideas, and I have the intention of making two of them, one with different hinge styles, and I'm not sure which of them I'm more excited about. Both of them are going to be fairly difficult to do. Let's get a template going. Since my goal for this notebook is to work on graph paper, I took a piece of graph paper and I cut it in half, and then I cut it in half again, and this one I just folded in half to wind up with the two templates for my two different sized notebooks. One of them is going to be that big, and one of them is going to be that big. Alright, now let's get that transferred via Sharpie onto the piece of metal. I have a cork-backed ruler somewhere, but I can't find it, so I'm using a piece of aluminum as my ruler instead. Now, for the small one, I'm going to want that to be in my pocket pretty often, so I'm going to have bent up edges on that one. So I'm going to make a little, there's going to be a little tab right there. I'm going to give a little bit of extra room there, so it's now slightly wider on the flippy side than it is on the top side. And this is where my hinges are going to go, and now I have to decide which of the two kinds of hinges I want for this. And I'm thinking that for this one I'm going to have the... Yeah, I think I'm going for using the nails for this one. Nah, I changed my mind. That's going to involve way more cutting, and that's going to involve way more... it's tighter fit. Besides, I don't know exactly where my nails are. Okay, so the hinge for this one is going to be... The centerpiece is going to be bent into approximately the correct position, and there's going to be strips coming off of that have been cut and are still fixed onto it. And I'm going to take the edges of those and I'm going to twist it, and I'm going to bend the other piece to have a hollow around the twists there, and hopefully that should swing properly. And if it's a little rough, then I kind of don't care. It's just to get it down. But I need to make room for a saw curve, then a reasonably large strip. It's going to put it at about here. So that's going to be my corner. And I'm going to use the edges to make sure that both of those are dead on. And get my line up to the edge there. Other side, that the corner of that is bent. I cannot rely on it to be perfectly straight. Okay. There. Got my corner there. Go. Okay, that's at least square to my eye. Let's use that to be my new straight line and see how far apart those are. Not very. Okay, that was a pretty minor tilt. Okay, so it's going to have a little tongue tab that sticks up. I'm going to put that about here. And make it a little wider than that. Yeah. As you may have guessed, the saw wound up being a complete failure, so I wound up resorting to a pair of Aviator's tin snips. It's the joint there. gives a mechanical assistance that makes it an aviator's tin snips, in order to cut out these two pieces. Then I took my punch right here, and I made a pair of center dots, and then I used this tiny hand drill, which will fit the tiny drill bit, to make little holes. That way I have rounded corners and nice targets to aim for. Now I'm going to cut out the spirally bits that are going to be the internal mechanism for the hinges. I want these to go in the same direction, that way the back piece here creates the space for the book itself to actually go. The aviator's snips. Rotated in the wrong direction. I'm trying to get it at least a full turn in there. There we go. I have now clipped the ends off using my tin snips, and I used my Speedy Sharp to run all the way around the edge to make sure that there are no sharp protrusions anywhere. There's still a little bit of texturing right here, but I can run my finger over it pretty nicely and not cut myself. So I'm not that worried about this twisty bit right here, because that's going to be enclosed completely in metal. So now I'm working on the next one. The sandal is so that when it eventually punches through and catches on the metal, the rubber sole will function like a soft-jawed vise and hold it in place. I'm not that worried about the carpet. I have to stop every once in a while because the bit of the drill is some pretty thin metal, and if it builds up heat, it will destroy the drill bit by making it lose its hardening. I'm checking it every time. Let that sit for just a touch. I used my punch to set the depth. I just against my hand and measured to the center of that, and then in from there. My camera died, so you missed quite a bit of cold shaping on an anvil with a hammer. The tubes there were pounded very painstakingly by hand with a hammer against the corner, the set-down corner of the anvil. It's still very rough on the inside, and the alignment on the hinge mechanism is not perfect. It slides. I cut it a little too wide for the slot there, but it moves over nicely. It clips itself closed. The corners have been mostly taken off by hammering a bend around it. That had to go in order to get the bend all the way out. And I had to make a little fold corner right there. I do still need to deburr a couple of the surfaces that were freshly cut, but my prototype is finished, and I can say with certainty that making it close like this was a mistake. Next time I'm just going to leave it cut square and to shape. And also these hinges, well, they're pretty decent for what they are. They don't swing freely, really, so I've got to come up with a different solution for that. Maybe something screw-based. I'll work something out. Oh yeah, one more thing. The paper that's actually in the notebook. I should talk about that. I took some graph paper and I folded it a couple of times and cut it in half every time until I wound up with paper that was that size. Then I folded each one of them and booked them together and stapled them in two places. And I took my knife and I made little slits right there in the edges of on both sides. So that, combined with the holes from the staples, should make the pages easy to tear out. I'm not actually securing it inside the little pocketbook thing here, because there's no way I could write on this side, and then if I want to write on that side, it's a little bit awkward. So the easiest way to do that would be to, it's hard to do one-handed and I'm holding the phone. The easiest way to do that would be to transfer it to the other side open, and then just move it back when I open to the next page. So I'm leaving that, I'm leaving that loose. Okay, so that should about do it.